Warm welcome. Thanks so much for dropping by. To anyone who's new, this channel is dedicated to helping people understand the difference between traditional Advaita Vedanta and watered down delusional non-duality called Neo-Advaita. If you'd like to learn more about that subject, I've given an overview on my website, which you can check out in the link to the side or below. And right at the start, I would like to say I am not a guru. I'm not enlightened. And so I speak from my own experience of having dived deeply into non-duality. I made some progress along that path. And through my education in classical non-duality. And also through the encouragement of an actual Swami, a non-dual, an Advaita, an actual Advaita Swami, who has said not said, oh, you're a guru, go out and teach people non-duality, but has really asked me multiple times to share this work. So So I got a really interesting comment that really touched me deeply. I'm going to read some of it. As an Indian Hindu, I have been seeing your videos for the past week. Thank you so much for stripping these fake Neo-Advaita and cult gurus. Advaita itself is a beautiful philosophy. Breaks my heart to see what these narcissist psychopaths have done in the name of Neo-Advaita. Every year, tons of these spiritual backpackers land up here in Tiruvannamalai in the south, that's where Ramana Maharshi was, and Rishikesh in the north. It's considered one of the most sacred or holy spots in India. So many of them desperately needing to heal their inner deep wounds, like abusive relationship, childhood trauma, and more. Like moths to a flame, these empaths, mostly women, are drawn to these satsangs just to have a taste of community. This has grown exponentially since the COVID 2020 event. Gaslighting, brainwashing, and manipulation is the name of the game. And yes, there is no question, no questioner, and you are just an idea. But please pay 10,000 euros for a 10-day retreat. Dissociation, replacing memories, and other NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming. Dark psychology tactics are obvious to anyone with a keen sense of observation. Western society being inherently individualistic and our human craving for social setting has led to this. No wonder these clowns are totally unknown here in India itself, because people see through their game within 5 minutes. For genuine seekers of Advaita Vedanta, Swami Sarvapriyananda, that's the Vedanta Society of New York City, and Swami Tadmananda, Ashwabodha, New Jersey, are two excellent sources that I know of to start off fresh. Tons of videos here. Have a look and go by your gut feel. Kudos to you for being open and authentic. I do hope Western seekers find true non-duality and be led toward the true light within. Trying to understand non-duality, which itself is the highest level attainment, only to be explored when one is sufficiently practiced in all types of yoga. Without the background of scriptures and in a secular, material, reductionistic context, is harakiri. Oh, I misread that. I thought that was harikara, which is Japanese word for suicide. I'll have to look that up. Harakiri. Maybe it's the same thing. This person closes with a mantra. Asato sadgamaya, tamaso jyotir gamaya, mrichor amritam gamaya. Lead us from ignorance to knowledge. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Thank you so much to the person who posted that. Where to begin? First of all, I really resonate with this idea that people are seeking healing from wounds. I know that was the case for me. Some very intense trauma, early childhood trauma. And I've heard many people say that they've been turning to Neo-Advaita for that. And this person, people who have trauma tend to end up being what's called empathic, meaning they're highly sensitive to other people's feelings. And empaths, for a variety of reasons, are just drawn to narcissists. And narcissists throw out various things to try and rope in empaths. It's a very complex psychological game. And it speaks to what I experienced as an empath. And I think a lot of the Neo-Advaita teachers are narcissists and potentially even psychopaths. This person just says it so well. Gaslighting, brainwashing, and manipulation is the name of the game. Neo-Advaita is not spiritual. It pretends to be spiritual, it looks spiritual, and it sounds spiritual, but lo and behold, it's nasty, manipulative, psychological games, and this one names some of them. Gaslighting, brainwashing, manipulation, dissociation, replacing memories, and other NLP dark psychology tactics. NLP is it's kind of like a self-help sort of psychology. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's a bunch of techniques to shift your mind. I'll have to take another look at NLP to see how that's showing up in Neo-Advaita satsangs. No, and I think this is the thing that touches me the most. No wonder those clowns are totally unknown here in India itself, because people would see through their game within 5 minutes. So I've shared many times about how shocked I was to finally start talking to an actual Advaita. He wouldn't call himself guru, but an actual Advaita Swami. And now I'm studying with multiple teachers who have actual gurus or swamis. And it's just night and day. And so that's why it appeals to Westerners, because, actually, let me read a little more that this guy wrote. Trying to understand non-duality, which is itself the highest level attainment, only to be explored when one is sufficiently practiced in all levels of yoga. Without the background of scripture, I got to look up harakiri. I thought it was the Japanese word for suicide. Maybe it is. Oh yeah, it is. It's a Japanese form of ritual suicide. So this person said, trying to understand non-duality, which is in itself the highest level of attainment, only to be explored when one is sufficiently practiced in all types of yoga. Without the background of scriptures and in a secular material reductionist context, is harakiri, is ritual self-suicide. I couldn't have said it better myself. So traditionally, the deep dive into non-duality only happens after you're practically a saint. Only after your balanced personality, you don't really have a lot of desires in the world, you're very knowledgeable about various topics, you have devotion towards the divine, you're an integrated member of society. Like the bar is really high before the more advanced portions of Advaita are taught. And yet Neo-Advaita teachers, right from the start, that's what they teach. And of course, they teach a distorted version. The other thing that comes to me as I'm reading this and sharing about it and thinking about it is, it's kind of like the old Neo-Advaita programming is like, oh, come on, so many details. Like, let's just get to the point, and a little bit of impatience. And so traditional Advaita is a very gradual, gentle process. So the two swamis he recommends, you can go watch, and I've recommended them before, and you can go watch their videos. It's very mellow, it's gentle, it's educational. There's this sense of like this gentle, ongoing process, which, I've been doing this for a couple of years. I feel it at work in me, and I'm kind of doing it in my own way. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just kind of giving these talks, which are not, they're not like earth-shattering. I'm not like, hey, do this mantra or do this one technique and everything will be great. It's not this earth-shattering, explosive revelation. It's kind of like this educational process. And that's how true Advaita actually works. It's so radically different. It's so radically different. And this guy, being a part of Indian Hindu culture, like, he knows. And no person who has been sufficiently educated in traditional Vedic Sanatana Dharma would fall for Neo-Advaita. They might fall for it for a minute or a day or a week, but it's just completely contradictory, which why from the start, one of my key approaches to helping people has been to educate them on how it's different. And this guy highlights some of that. So, right here, right now, there's kind of the part of me that's missing. I'm not going to go back. I'm just being transparent. Like, that misses, like, Neo-Advaita is exciting. You go to satsang, you get into this altered state. You're like, oh, there's nothing to do. I've got it. There's like this big sense of this big revelation. But of course, it doesn't last. And of course, then it becomes this downward cycle. And, it's so simple that the answers that are given are so simple, right? Like, just inquire, or you're already enlightened. Like, it's like this, just this short and simple. It's kind of like, it's like the Twitter version. You only get 200 characters. So you only have these really short things. And it's so appealing because it's like it provides these simple answers that end up not being actual answers. And these simple solutions that end up not being actual solutions. So I really appreciate this comment and that sharing from that person. And let's see if there's anything else I want to talk about. I think I love that this person highlights the things like gaslighting, brainwashing, manipulation. I'll have to look into the NLP thing. The thing is going to a Neo-Advaita teacher is like hopping in the ocean when there are sharks there. Like, no, that's not what I would say. I mean, it is, but the thing that's so tricky about Neo-Advaita is it seems virtuous. All the things that happen I won't say all, most of the things that happen in Neo-Advaita satsang are actually harmful, are actually not true, but they seem so helpful, and they seem so virtuous and so good. And that's what makes Neo-Advaita so tricky. And that's why I keep talking about it, because as I've shared many times, it was very difficult for me to leave. And I actually had some of the traditional education, and I still got caught. I didn't have enough. If I'd had enough, I wouldn't have gotten caught. But all of this becomes even more complicated leaving Neo-Advaita. And leaving Neo-Advaita doesn't just mean not going to satsangs and not watching Neo-Advaita videos. It means freeing your mind from the garbage. That process becomes even more complicated if you have severe trauma or severe psychological stuff that brought you to Neo-Advaita. Myself and some people I've met and gotten a chance to talk to and even gotten to know, Neo-Advaita really just scrambles everything up. And the unscrambling is not linear. It's not simple. For maybe for someone who has, miracles happen, like big explosion, big insights can happen and big shifts in consciousness can happen. But in general, that's not how spiritual growth, it's more of this, again, this gentle progressive process. And so the process of unscrambling all the wires and all the circuits and all the things is not so linear. It takes time. And I started my process of I have to look whether it was 2018 or 2019, and I finally feel like I'm on. I won't say completely solid ground, but much more solid ground now in terms of spotting spiritual bullshit and unwrapping all the programming that I took on. That feels pretty solid. Now I'm in the process of working to get sort of my me solid and get my life back together. So that's everything I've got on this topic for today. I've got 2 live viewers. If anyone wants to share any comments or ask any questions, that there's time and space for that. Feel free to type that in. I'm going to take a little pause. Let people share if they want. All right, beautiful souls. Thank you so very much for joining in. Take care.